My report is about safety standards, organizations promulgating standards, and professional liability. American Society for Testing and Materials. It is the world's largest source of voluntary consensus standards for materials testing, products, systems, and services. It is the roughly 30,000 members draw on a broad spectrum of interest and include engineers, scientists, researchers, educators, testing experts, companies, associations, institutes, government agencies, consumers, and even libraries. One of the example of ASTM standards topics is material specifications and testing procedures regarding electronic equipment and protective equipment for electrical workers. Underwriters Laboratories. It is a not-for-profit organization maintains laboratories where the compliance of a product, device, system, or material with specific safety standards is tested. It publishes annual directories listing the manufacturers whose products have met the appropriate safety standard criteria and whose products are covered under the UL's Follow-up Services Program. The Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers. It is the world's largest technical professional society. It is founded in 1884 by a handful of practitioners of the new electrical engineering discipline. Today's institute is composed of over 52,000 students and 320,000 members who conduct and participate in its activities in more than 130 countries. It keeps its members abreast with their field through numerous conferences, journal publications, and educational services. It has 35 specialized technical societies with interests that span the many disciplines that encompass electrical, electronics, computer engineering, and computer science. State and federal government regulations. During the first half of the 20th century, the federal government's involvement in safety legislation was largely limited to setting safety and health standards for its contractors. Walsh-Healy Public Contract Act of 1936. It is provided that contracts in excess of $10,000 entered into by an agency of the United States prohibit the use of materials manufactured in working conditions which are unsanitary or dangerous to the health and safety of the employees. Federal legislation during the 1960s was aimed primarily at specific industries. Construction Safety Act of 1969. It is required that all federal or federally financed or assisted projects in excess of $2,000 comply with established safety and health standards enforced by the U.S. Secretary of Labor. Federal Metal and Non-Metallic Mine Safety Act of 1966 and Federal Coal Mine Health and Safety Act of 1969. These are also directed attention to occupational safety and health. Federal Mine Safety and Health Act. It is promulgated in 1977, established a single mine safety and health law for all mining operations enforced by the Mine Safety and Health Administration within the Department of Labor. Occupational Safety and Health Act, October 29, 1970. It is when Richard Nixon signed Public Law 91596. April 28, 1971. This law, the Williams-Stager Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, became effective. Its stated purpose is to assure safe and healthful working conditions for working men and women by authorizing enforcement of the standards developed under the Act, by assisting and encouraging the states in their efforts to assure safe and healthful working conditions by providing for research, information, education, and training in the field of occupational safety and health, and for other purposes. Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It was established to enforce the OSHA, located within the Department of Labor, and primarily an enforcement agency. National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. It was established within the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare under the provisions of the OSHA. The primary functions are to perform safety and health research, develop and establish recommended standards, and facilitate the education of personnel qualified to implement the provisions of the OSHA. The regulations relating to the OSHA are included in Parts 1900 to 1927 of Title 29 of the Code of Federal Regulations, and the operation of the Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission are included in Parts 2200 to 2499. These are the major examples of specific exclusions of the OSHA. State and local government employees, self-employed persons, farms at which only immediate members of the farm employer's family are employed, and workplaces already protected by other federal agencies under other federal statutes. Employers with fewer than 10 full or part-time employees are excluded from the record-keeping requirements of the OSHA. These are the three separate sets of OSHA standards: general industry, construction, and maritime employment. OSHA Publication 2201. It is a summary of the OSHA's General Industry Standards. OSHA Publication 2202. It is a summary of the OSHA Construction Standards. To consider hazards not specifically included in OSHA standards, OSHA has turned to the provisions of Section 5A of the OSHA or the General Duty Clause that states each employer shall furnish to each of his employees employment and a place of employment which are free from recognized hazards that are causing or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm to his employees, and each employer shall comply with occupational safety and health standards promulgated under this Act. In summary, 4 governmental units have the primary responsibility to carry out the Act. Number 1 is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. It is concerned with national, regional, and administrative programs for developing and ensuring compliance with safety and health standards. Number 2 is the Occupational Safety and Health Review Commission. It reviews citations and proposed penalties in enforcement actions contested by employers and employees. Number 3 is the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. It provides research, training, and education. Number 4 is the Bureau of Labor Statistics. It conducts statistical surveys and establishes methods for acquiring injury and illness data. Professional liability. Engineers shall hold paramount the safety, health, and welfare of the public in the performance of their professional duties. This statement is the first principle listed in the fundamental canons of the Code of Ethics of Engineers. Standard of responsibility. It is the basis on which parties named in a product's liability suit are judged. The legal standards used to test liability the theories of number 1, negligence, focuses on conduct and asks whether the manufacturer acted reasonably. Under this theory, the standard of responsibility is the duty to exercise due care in providing a reasonably safe product. Number 2 is the strict liability. Under this theory, the standard of responsibility is to provide a product free of defects. Under this theory, even if a manufacturer did not know of a defect, it can be held liable if expert testimony reveals a defect. Number 3 is the warranty, a promise made by a seller that a product possesses certain performance, safety, or quality characteristics. Under this theory, The standard of responsibility is whether the capabilities of the actual product differ from the expressed capabilities. Within this theory, a seller may be found liable under express warranty or implied warranty. There are two kinds of warranty, the express warranty and implied warranty. Express warranty breached when the product cannot safely be used for purposes portrayed in statements, pictures, or advertisements. Implied warranty, a promise that the goods are fit for the ordinary purposes for which such goods are used. And lastly, misrepresentation. Any party along the stream of commerce may be liable for misrepresentation of fact, intentional or not, if the public relies on such information and consequently suffers harm